Welcome to my channel. I will try to make a new kind of video. I have this video channel for quite some time. Mainly, I made videos about my different trips in the Philippines. There have never been many followers or many views. I don't really do it for the fame, but still it would be nice to have a few more people who watch the channel. So I asked AI what to do to improve the channel, and I got a few tips. One of them is to make direct face-to-face videos. I'm 72 years old, and I'm not from the selfie generation. When I travel somewhere, I take pictures of what I see. I don't really need to put myself in front of these nice things that I see. And the fact that I take the pictures for me is proof enough that I've been there. Even if nowadays, with technical means, I can show pictures of the moon and make them look like if I have been there. I haven't. Anyway, so now let me try to talk about the subject that could be interesting. What is the reason somebody should live or retire in Dumaguete region in Negros Oriental in the Philippines? When I came to the Philippines, originally I stayed in Davao City. I like Davao City. It's nice, it's big, a little too big for my taste. But I lived outside, not far from the ferry to Samal Island, which is the place where all the nice beaches are. I had a good life, nice house, but after some time I started to get bored. Being retired is not all what people say. If you have been active all your life, suddenly to do nothing, to sit around, to go to the beach, maybe is not enough. And then I saw this ad, a Swiss living in Dumaguete, who had his restaurant for sale. It was a successful restaurant with the local population and expats, and it was open only in the evening, which suited me well because I didn't want to have a 12-hour job. So I flew to Dumaguete, I met the guy, I saw the place, and I decided to buy the restaurant. I moved all my things to Dumaguete, and after 3 weeks of hard work preparing for the restaurant, we finally opened. The opening evening was a success, and afterwards we always had a nice number of guests, which is somehow surprising because the restaurant had been closed for a full year. The previous owner had health problems, he couldn't continue to cook with a bad hip. Anyway, it went well, but after 3 weeks, COVID-19 hit and the lockdown. We had to close. We stayed closed for 2 months, and afterwards, when we are allowed to open, it started very, very slowly. We had many guests 2-3 times per week. We were sitting there all day or the whole evening waiting for guests. And I predicted that it would take about 2 years until tourism was more or less back. Nobody believed me, but in the end, I proved to be right. So I decided to call it quits. I closed the restaurant. I lost some money, but that's life. You can't always predict anything. But now I was in Dumaguete. What would I do? I stayed here. I had moved everything. So why not stay and explore this place? Originally, if it had not been for this restaurant, I wouldn't have come to Dumaguete at all, because already then, 5 or 6 years ago, Dumaguete was known to be a place for expats, where expats would retire. It was full of expats. And frankly, this part didn't attract me. What I liked in Davao City was that there were few expats. Because if I come to live in another country like the Philippines, or like Egypt before, where I stayed for 9 years, and come to live with the local population, it's nice to meet an expat from time to time to exchange experiences, but I don't want to meet them all the time. Also, I had watched some of the Facebook pages of those expats, And I saw a lot of people complaining all the time. And now I was here and I tried to make the best of it. So what is Dumaguete? If people talk about Dumaguete, mainly they mean the region of Dumaguete, which includes the city of Dumaguete itself, and up on the hill, or on the slope of Mount Talinis, the extinct volcano. There is Valencia, a very nice place that many people like because it's a little higher up. It goes up to 350 meters, all about 1,200 feet, and it's a little cooler than Dumaguete. Personally, I don't like it a lot because you can see the clouds accumulate over Valencia and there is more rain and less sun. But a lot of people like it. And then south of Dumaguete, there are several small cities, Bacong, Dumaguete, and even Siaton. These cities are mainly famous for the beaches and for the diving. The region of Dumaguete has a very good reputation for divers. There are fantastic corals. Some places in Darin, you swim 50 meters from the beach and you're swimming and snorkeling over some of the best coral reefs in the world. And this is certainly an attraction. The whole area is also full of resorts, which cater mainly to tourists, but it's a nice place to live. And then, beside the sea and the beaches and the corals, you also have the mountain. If you go up the mountain, the slope of Mount Talinis, or the valley, Filipino Valley, you have beautiful landscapes. You have steam vents where the steam of this not so extinct volcano comes out, smelling strongly of sulfur. Then you have several waterfalls, you have hot springs, and if you climb up higher, you have beautiful view in an untouched nature of tropical forest and meadows. In this area, there are several small mountain cafes, and I made a whole series of videos about those mountain cafes. So this is Dumaguete and the region. Dumaguete itself is not very big. At the last census, it had about 120,000 inhabitants, and about 8,000 of them were foreigners. The whole region probably has about 150 to 200,000 inhabitants. So it's not big. You get everywhere in half an hour, 40 minutes, with a scooter, with a motorbike, with a car. But be aware, driving is very tricky. If you come from a Western country, where everybody obeys the rules, or most of them at least, driving here is really difficult. The traffic is chaotic. You must really get used to be ready at any moment to brake, to swerve, to avoid an accident. I've been driving in the Philippines for 7 years now, and touch wood, I never made an accident. Let's hope it will continue. In Dumaguete itself, traffic is supposed to be very bad, and it's true. The center of Dumaguete is very crowded, has a lot of traffic. But the traffic rarely stands still. You always go forward, even if it's slowly. And in 20 minutes, you cross the center. So this traffic that many people criticize is finally not so bad. As Dumaguete has many expats, in most of the supermarkets, you find things that you don't find in an average Filipino supermarket. Imported goods that are nice to have when you're a foreigner. And sometimes you want to buy things you are used to from your home country. There's also one shop that especially caters to expats. You can find American beef, all kinds of frozen goods, cheeses, and other things that in the big cities you can only find in very specialized shops. When I was in Davao City, I had to travel at least 45 minutes across the town to one supermarket that had this kind of goods. And for many of the expats living here, this is very important and very attractive. Personally, I don't go a lot to those shops. I mainly buy my food in the normal supermarkets and in the public market. where you find fresh seafood and fresh vegetables and fruit. And that's what I eat mainly. Of course, I like my European cuisine, but I'm married to a Filipina, so about half of the time we eat Filipino food. And that works very well for both of us. So big advantage to have in a small city all those things which are attractive to foreigners. Of course, having so many foreigners here has an influence on the prices. There is a certain tendency to inflate prices. And some people, when they see the foreigner, they add the Carno tax or American tax, meaning they increase the prices. But I have lived in Egypt, where this same white skin tax is several 100%. Here it's normally not so much. What is more expensive is accommodation. If you want to rent a house or an apartment, you will pay more than the average Filipino. But there's also a reason for this, because most expats, we have higher standards. We want air condition in most of the rooms. We want nice bathrooms, nicely equipped kitchens, appliances, and you have to pay for this. Most Filipinos, except for the rich ones, will not look for these things and will not be ready to pay extra price for it. And then you have the expats. Many of those people are retired Americans. A lot of them lived all their life in their country, never traveled abroad, and then suddenly they come to a completely different culture, different nature, different climate, and a very different culture. And it's not easy to adjust. I know it myself. But if you make an effort, you can do it. I'm lucky to come from a country in the center of Europe, where it was easy to travel, and having experienced many trips to European countries, but also overseas. So it was easier for me to adjust. So some of the foreigners, they get used to it. They don't always like it. It's not always easy, but they get used to it. And some of them, they will never adjust. They are bitter and they complain all the time. Do I want to live in the midst of this kind of people? No. But in the end, I realized it's not really a problem, because most of the expats, they meet in certain restaurants, certain bars, always the same, always together, starting to drink beer at 10 in the morning and complaining. Personally, I never go to those places. And if I meet some in the street, I greet friendly, but I'm not attracted to be in an expat community. But many expats, when they come here, they want to have a community of their peers. And for this, Dumaguete is ideal. So if this is what you want to come to a place where you can spend your time among other foreigners of the same culture, then it's the right place to go. I have a friend, he has a whole program. Nearly every day he has some kind of event or sports activity together with other expats. It's good for him, it's not for me. You have to know what you want. And then, of course, there is the dating. I will not go into details of this. Many expats come here because there are beautiful young Filipino women who don't mind to have an older partner. And some of them make good experience and some bad. It took me some time to find the right woman. I'm now married happily for 4 years, and I have no problems. So far, so good. We are in Dumaguete. Other advantages, transportation. There is an airport in Dumaguete. It's only a national airport, a domestic airport. So you can fly mainly to Cebu, to Manila. And from there, then you can take international flights. I don't fly abroad. This is not a problem for me. There's also lots of ferries that go to the neighboring islands, Bohol, Sikihor, or Cebu. You can even take a ferry to Manila. It takes about 2 days, and it is as expensive, if not more, than the plane. But some people like to take this trip. So far, some ideas about the attraction of living in Dumaguete city, a small place on Negros Island. Thank you for your attention.